All right. Hey, Andrew, how you doing?
Doing all right. How are you, Reed?
Doing fantastic. Just got out of class, so we're it's all HST today, so we're great. Andrew, I'd love for you to just introduce yourself. You know where you're living, what you're doing, your family, and all that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Hicks. I am in the MDiv and MA in Systematic Theology programs concurrently. I am the first of the BDivs, Bachelors of Divinity. My first year at HST was actually my last year at undergrad Harding. I just finished that last year, so this is my first full-time, only a grad student year, and it's going all right. I live in Anderson, South Carolina. I am the minister at the Upstate Church of Christ, and I'm also a high school Bible teacher for 8th through 12th grade at a non-denom Christian school here in town called Anderson Christian School. I'm married to Hannah. We have a hobby farm just outside of Anderson, South Carolina. We have 30 some odd chickens. We have meat rabbits. We have dogs and cats, and we want to get goats and pigs and sheep, and that's about it.
That's awesome. You get me jealous. I live in Memphis near grad school, and I'd love to get a goat, but apparently it's
Mm.
not allowed in city limits. So
Yeah, I can see that.
that's interesting. So tell me a bit about the BDiv track, just so people who may be watching this and are interested, kind of what made you go that route? Because that's kind of the next question is what was your journey to HST, but you're just kind of meshed into your undergrad
Yeah,
experience. So,
I threw it out there
mm,
first off the bat. Yeah, the Bachelors of Divinity, great program. I am honored, humbled that I was able to do it. I know that a lot of other people were really jealous that they haven't been able to do it, but it's a fast track, if you will, to the MDiv.
mhm,
So as soon as you hit undergrad college, you kind of have to have the idea that you're going to go for the Masters of Divinity,
yeah,
and you start on that track. And so you finish all of your undergrad credits that are needed in 3 years. And then that fourth year, you are full time at HST taking classes, kind of like a dual enrollment
yeah,
thing, similar to the phenomenon that high school students will do is they take dual enrollment where it counts towards their high school transcript and also their college transcript. So it's that same phenomenon. Like I had all of my Greek and Hebrew done undergrad, and then I just had to take a readings course or a like a text course
yeah, yeah.
um, to cover the rest of it once I got to HST. So
And how was that experience for you, kind of starting your senior year off in the MDiv, and then also did you come to campus most classes, or did you just Zoom in from Cersei?
yeah, so we lived in Memphis for that year. Um, yeah, we just moved to Memphis.
Yeah,
We thought that was best. I wanted to be actually there and be able to use the library. So for that year of like overlap, we were at HST. So I was in class every time except during the spring semester. That's of course when COVID hit,
yes,
and then I got a job in South Carolina, and before the semester ended we moved and I finished up the semester through Zoom, but we were on Zoom anyway, so it didn't matter.
yeah, exactly.
um yeah, it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. Like it was a lot. I wasn't always able to do some things that maybe some of my peers were,
Mm,
but I will say I was already married. I got married right after my freshman year. So, I mean, it wasn't as bad in that regard. Like, I can see where maybe those who aren't married, it would be a lot more difficult for them, perhaps. But for me, it was a lot better because I was married, I think, just because I didn't have to live in the dorm and I didn't have to worry about some of that stuff that you have to whenever you're not married.
yeah, yeah, that's cool. So tell me a bit about more of your, your preaching with the church at the upstate church.
Mhm.
Is there a downstate church or?
Yeah, so no, like in South Carolina, so I knew nothing about South Carolina before I moved here. Like I don't know, I'm from Arkansas originally,
Mm,
from Northeast Arkansas, but South Carolina, if you look at it on a map, it kind of has like an upward progression, and it's like it has this little uptick at the very
okay,
top. All that area up there is called the upstate.
gotcha.
So we're in
Did not
the
know.
upstate of South Carolina, and so everything around here, like, like schools and things will call themselves upstate, or
Mhm.
like businesses will say like upstate metal supply or something like that. And so we're Upstate Church of Christ. Um, yeah, we're about 60 people,
Yeah,
not
I was
terribly.
I was gonna
So
ask, how's that life balance of teaching and then also preaching? I'd love to hear kind of more a bit about how you balance that, and then maybe how they both work together in your ministry there.
yeah, great question. It's a lot. It's a lot. I teach 8th through 12th grade, so all day, every day. I have 5 classes a day and a study hall, which is just glorified babysitting. And so I'm dealing with 8th through 12th grade, teaching Bible classes. And this is my first year doing this, of course.
Mhm.
So, but my elders actually pushed me to do this. They encouraged me to do this. One of my elders' wives is actually the principal at our school. She's the principal over the whole thing, and I was coming to town to be the preacher, and she said that her both of her Bible teachers quit, or actually one retired, one quit, and so she needed somebody to take over, and she was just kind of like, "Hey, I want you to do this." And my elders, so our church is very small. We only have like 2 or 3 kids in our official youth group, but yet every year for like Winterfest, we take a huge group because we draw from the school. So
Mhm.
they see what I do at school as like a really out of the box hybrid youth ministry
Yeah,
kind of thing. And
interesting.
so they really encourage me to do that. They want me to do that and be involved. And so it's a lot, but since they want me to do it, they kind of take away some other potential responsibilities
Mhm.
here and there and try to make it easy for me to do both. So
Man, so you're doing grad school, preaching, teaching, youth ministry. I'm always amazed by just what all of our students at HST do. It's
mhm.
so many unique, opportunities and ways that they're using their grad school training in their life and their families, but also in their ministry opportunities that sometimes look differently. So it's really interesting to hear how
Yes.
that's shaping out for you. That's
Yes.
really, really cool.
Yeah, and I like doing this more than I liked being their full-time student, honestly.
Mm,
Like I needed to preach.
yeah.
Like that's my spiritual discipline. And so to not have that, I felt kind of lost. And so I needed to preach. And so yeah, it's a lot, but it feels right.
Yes. Well, that kind of gets us into our next question, maybe. What's been keeping you spiritually healthy
Mm,
with this balance of life, school, ministry, family? What keeps you spiritually healthy? And I just want to touch on what you said uh, just quickly because I think that's a tough thing to discern. Is I want to do school full time. I want to get through this, but there's definitely space there to listen to the Holy Spirit that says, "Well, maybe there's another way to do this. Maybe there's a direction I can take you in that lets you
absolutely.
do both." But it's hard to listen to that and to speak into that. So
Absolutely.
I'd
Yeah,
love
it's
to hear more
different for
about
everyone. It's different for everyone. Yeah, for me, the thing that keeps me grounded is my preaching.
that.
It forces me to get into the text. It forces me to meditate on the word. And I just think that there's something, at least for me, that comes with having to articulate my thoughts about the passage in front of others that just makes me read it closer
Mhm.
and more carefully and to really soak in the text and sit with it for a while. That's the main thing. Other than that, I found contemplative prayer really helpful. Um, as a grad student, I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't want to talk too much. Sometimes I just need to sit and be with God rather than try to tell God or let Him speak and just try to listen. And so that very contemplative tradition has been a lot more helpful.
Great. And I wondered too, when I think about preaching, I almost view it as we're listening for God to
Mhm,
speak through us into a text, and then we are then kind of telling what we've heard from God. So I wonder if
mhm.
those two kind of go together for you on this contemplative being with
Absolutely.
God, but then it's also for the congregation. It's listening and
Mhm,
then telling what you hear, which I think is really interesting.
mhm. Yeah, I kind of like to say it like I want to. So like I pre-plan what I'm going to preach. I usually preach like through a book or something like that,
Mhm.
and I love to just see how the Spirit moves. That this is the text for this Sunday, And it's almost as if I've pre-assigned that text for that Sunday, and it's like, let's just see what happens between now and then. What's the Spirit going to do? What's God going to bring? And it's always wonderful to see how the Spirit moves and brings, oh, this scenario happened this week, or actually a member died this week, or there's a new engagement, and that plays into how I read the text this week. And so it's just really amazing how those two do go together for sure.
Cool. And is there, I got to ask because you brought it up, but is there anything about your kind of hobby farm life that plays into your spirituality or spiritual health?
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Like I love taking care of the animals. I always joke that it's my wife Hannah's thing and not mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's our running joke that I'm like, I don't like any of this. And she's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, but just working with creatures just reminds me so much of the creator. Like I'm in creation, and it's so fascinating. For me, the thing that I've really contemplated a lot, and maybe this is silly, but I learned that chickens sing a song after they lay their eggs. Some of them do. Ours do. They sing a song. They have this little clucking song that they do. And to me, it's just so beautiful. Sometimes it's kind of freaky sounding, but it's beautiful because I mean all creation sings.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I don't know. Whenever I hear that, I just think, praise God. Every
Wow.
time I hear a clucking song. And we have like 30, so I hear it quite a bit.
I was going to say you probably hear that all the time. We've got 6 chickens at home, and I'm typically not here when they lay. It's typically in the afternoon. I might have to
Yeah.
look out for that. That's interesting. Wow, that'll preach, man. That'll preach. That's really
Oh, it'll preach.
good. That's good. So we're gonna get into our kind of rapid fire speed round questions.
Okay.
This might be a bit of a surprise for you. So first one is, if you could have dinner with one person from the Bible besides Jesus, because we would all, say Jesus, who would that be and why?
Ooh. One of the disciples that we don't know much about. I'm not sure I can name one, but like
Mhm.
we know a lot about Peter, at least more than the others. We know a little bit about John, kind of a tad about James, Thomas, Judas, maybe like Bartholomew or something. Like one of those that we don't typically, or Andrew. Ooh, that would work. Andrew and Andrew. Like just one of those that we don't always think of. Because I wonder what they see in their perspective that we just don't always hear about. Like Peter's married, apparently, which is kind of like a side comment in the Gospels. Are these other disciples married, have kids? Like, what's their life like? I'd really like to know. Because I'm, at the end of the day, an average Joe. So I'd like to hear from one of those average Joe
Yeah, one
disciples.
of the disciples that doesn't get the limelight, in the gospel.
Yeah.
That's good. That's interesting. Okay, next one. What has been the best book you've read in the past year?
Mm.
School related or not school related?
Ooh. Ooh.
And I know you like to read a lot, so this might be it.
I do like to read a lot. Yes. Oh, man. Maybe, and it was a school book, Hard Fighting Soldiers.
Okay.
I read it for African Americans in the Stone Campbell movement.
Hmm.
Like, it's a history book, and really honest, history's not always my thing, but reading that just gave me such joy thinking about, those hard fighting soldiers. In class, Dr. Robinson said, the African American Churches of Christ, it's a story of grace and grit.
Hmm.
And I love that. And it was just a great read. Like he's a good author. It's academic, but it's readable.
Great. That's a good resource to know. Next, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Ooh. All time. That's a big question.
Yeah, we're going big here. That's what we do on these highlights.
Go big or go home,
That's right.
man. Okay, I don't know about all time. I'm just gonna ignore that part. Sorry, but
Just go for it.
my favorite movie lately, and it sounds cliche, but I have a good reason, is Avengers Endgame. It is fantastic. All of our assumptions for what was going to happen in that movie were subverted in the first like 15, 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
but then they still made it work. Also, they did time travel and it wasn't cheesy. Like it just works. It works. It's fantastic.
You're right. Yeah, I'll give it to you. That's good. And last question: what is one thing you love about the city you live in?
Mm. Yeah, it's not too big, but it's not too small. it's really centrally located. So we're only like 2 hours from Atlanta, 2.5, 3 from Charlotte, 3 hours from the beach, 3 hours from Gatlinburg. I mean, everything's not that far from us. And everywhere we go, there's water. There's a lake, there's a pond, it's beautiful, very beautiful.
Cool.
But
I
it
didn't
also has some of
realize
the
that.
amenities and things that you can get in like a slightly bigger city.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's interesting. Very cool. Well, Andrew, that's all we've got for today. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us for these little episodes, whatever you want to call these that we do. I appreciate you taking the time, and it's so great to hear just how God is using you and your ministry in such a unique way, and Hannah, your wife, and your farm, and all your chickens and animals. That's really cool, man. So it's been good to talk with you. Hope you have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah.